11 minutes past 8, the pictures coming out of Syria over the past few days have been truly shocking. The Syrian regime says the accusations of a chemical attack have been made up. What no one can deny is the number of youngsters fleeing the country. It's now reached the 1 million mark, and the UN is warning of a lost generation of young people. Joining us now is Kat Carter from Save the Children and Noor Al-Dairy from the charity Hand in Hand for Syria, his family and friends in the country. Very good morning to you both. Noor, first of all, we were speaking to Jim Muir just a moment ago at a refugee camp on the Iraq border, and he was talking about how the numbers are swelling. Literally in the last week, he's watched huge numbers of people emerging from Syria, and crucially, so many of these people, half, you're saying, under the age of 11.
That's right, yeah. The situation's crazy inside the country. The living conditions are extremely awful. 1 in 5 of Syrians can't actually get to food, or afford food because it's so expensive, or actually getting their hands on it. So the living conditions are awful, from completely destroyed cities in total, so people are fleeing. A lot have left some towns to go to Damascus, and now things are happening in Damascus. So the situation is awful, but in the camps it's not any better either, I guess.
Kat, I mean, obviously you've been monitoring this very closely. The figure now has reached 1 million, so the United Nations said. A shameful figure, it's said, rightly so. Is this accurate, or do you think this is perhaps we reached that figure quite a while ago?
Well, it's actually the number of registered refugees, so you're quite right that actually the number could be higher. Lots of refugees that I've spoken to are actually extremely nervous about giving their name, about signing a piece of paper that says, this is my name, this is where I'm from, to register with UN agencies. I think the important thing is that the 1 million figure is shocking enough on its own. You know, it's a grim milestone, and it really shows just the failure of the international community, the failure to help the children inside Syria.
And these refugees that you speak to, what do they plan to do next? Are they hoping to go back home, or are they just resigned to the fact that they have to settle elsewhere now?
All the refugees I spoke to want to go home. You know, these people, particularly the ones that came across recently, they've lived through 2.5 years of increasingly brutal civil war. They've been through hell. They're traumatised, they're exhausted, they're hungry, but all they want to do is go home and raise their children in safety, like any family would anywhere in the world. Yes,
and we're seeing, as we're looking at the images now, the huge proportion of the people coming out of Syria at the moment are children. And I don't know whether this is families who are sending their children away, some staying behind, but that poses particular problems, doesn't it?
It does. Children on their own are incredibly vulnerable, you know, as you can imagine. So things like sexual violence is a real risk. Being made to do labour, so working. I've spoken to kids as young as 9 who are now working to try and support their families. They're not going back to school, and they're incredibly traumatised by what they've been through. They urgently need that kind of emotional support. These kids have witnessed horrendous things. As Noor was saying, they've run out of food and water and medicine inside the country. These kids need everything.
And Noor, we were talking about this headline figure, the 1 million figure. I know you're in touch with. Are you able to contact your family and friends? How is that working in terms of your contact with them now?
So it all depends on what's going on. So if the reception's cut, so we can't get hold of them, it can go through days of no contact, and then you can get days of all of a sudden you've got contact. So every day you're trying, every day.
And I imagine very agonising decisions are being made about, you know, whether to stay, either to fight or just out of loyalty to your country, or for safety reasons to leave.
So yes. So I've already had family leave from 2 different areas of the country, from Daraa, where it first originated, and from Homs, to go to Damascus. And now someone think, well, where do we go? But you can't leave the country because it's home. So this is why we can't let them down, and it makes me, well, it fuels me to do more as part of Hand in Hand for Syria, to deliver aids inside the country, to bring food for them, to bring humanitarian from medicines, you know, launching a campaign, well, one of our biggest campaign on the 31st of August, next Saturday, in order to actually deliver essentials. All the money will be spent on medicines and humanitarian aid.
Yeah, and Kat, for Save the Children's and the charity's point of view, the long-term solution obviously is peace in the country. But are you, the other charities, able to cope with the numbers that are emerging, as Jamil was saying, increasing all the time?
I mean, the numbers are increasing, and aid agencies and the UN, we are overwhelmed, to be honest. You know, the UN overall appeal is, I think, a third funded. Save the Children's own appeal is 50% funded. And we are on the ground and we're working as hard as we can, but it does take money. We do need funds to be able to reach these children. And inside Syria, we need humanitarian access, safe humanitarian access. Some agencies, like Save the Children, are able to work inside Syria, but we're not able to reach all the children that we need to. So we need access and we need funds, and we need them urgently.
Thank you both very much for your time this morning.
For more background and analysis of the alleged chemical attack and the latest on events in Syria, that attack allegedly took place in Damascus, you can take a look at our website, bbc.co.uk/news.